go ahead and get. But what I wanted to start with this week is just kind of going back to the absorption reports. Audrey, can I ask you a quick question? Does Cheyenne have access to the CMA folder in terms of being able to watch some of the past recordings and such?
She should, but I'll go double check.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that she does. So Cheyenne, we've done a tremendous amount of training around absorption reports and how to do CMAs and things like that. And I still get asked all the time, to get help on doing valuations. One of my rules is if I'm going to help you do a valuation on a property, which I don't mind doing, that you provide me your CMA and absorption report. So the absorption report, I'm going to go to it right now. We've got a whole file. In fact, let me just see if I can open up the old drive here, and I'm going to show you, where our past recordings are in this.
Okay.
All right. So if we're in that team file sharing, inside of the team file sharing, we'll get to a drive that says CMA absorption reports training. Technically, all of you guys should have access to this in here. You can go back all the way to 2020, 2022, 2023, all the different trainings that I've done on absorption reports. But in addition, you can find a lot of previously done absorption reports. And so I always had stored these. I started doing absorption reports back in 2008 as we got into the Great Recession, so I could share information that was meaningful for my clients when they were looking to price homes. And I always save those. In fact, I did an absorption report for Salt Lake County in November of 2011 that showed that we had an 18-month supply of homes on the market. 18-month supply. Wow. I know buyers wish we would have that kind of selection nowadays, right? But I hold on to them because I like to compare them with how the market's changed over the course of 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, or if you have a listing, I'm updating this on a weekly basis. So I always save the one that I did the week prior, and then I make a copy of it and I redo it with this week on it. So this particular absorption report training, we're just going to start with a broad-based absorption report of Salt Lake City. And you can see this will be for single family homes specifically. Whoops. Let me try to move some things around. I don't really care about the version history here. I did this on September 6th of 2022. So we're just over a year later, right? And we're going to do it again. And this one we're going to do together. And then we can kind of compare it with what's changed since September of last year. Absorption reports, I always do the absorption report before I do a CMA on a property, right? I've talked about that a lot because I need to know what's going on with the market. So all markets are driven by supply and demand. And, the way that we measure supply and demand inside of the real estate industry is in month supply of homes, right? So if we have between a 4 and a 6 month supply of homes that are on the market, and that's based upon the rate that buyers are currently buying, here's how much inventory we have. Between a 4 and 6 month supply is generally considered to be a level market. I believe once you get to 6 months, even, moving beyond 6 months, you're in a buyer's market. And if you have less than 4 months, then you're generally considered to be in a seller's market. And oftentimes you're going to find for any area, any city, that you're going to be in, you'll have the tale of two markets, based upon price range. You might have a buyer's market, in a lower price range, but in a higher price range, or excuse me, a seller's market in a lower price range, but yet in that same city or in that same zip code, or maybe even in the same area, that lower price range, you might have more of a seller's market or a buyer's market, right? So the tale of two markets will happen almost every time in each market. So absorption reports are useful if you guys are going to take a listing in, let's say Cheyenne's on right now. So let's say you're going to go into, is it called Silver Springs there, where I-40 and I-80 meet up, Cheyenne? Is that Silver?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's say you're in Silver Springs. I don't want to do all of Park City, let's say. I just want to see specifically what's going on with the Silver Springs community. You can do an absorption report just for Silver Springs. You can draw a map around it, like a little box around it, like we do on our MLS system, just capture what's in there. But you can also do it for an entire market, like you might do it for all of Park City, or maybe you do it for all of Summit County. And so they can be used for different purposes. Today, we're going to do a broad stroke and do Salt Lake City. So this is not Salt Lake County, but we're going to do Salt Lake City. And so the first thing that we want to do is, is not break anything up into price range. We just want to see an overall supply. And so I'm going to do this for you guys right now. I generally will do it on our MLS. I use a quick search for doing this, right? And I'm going to look at just single family homes, right? I'm going to exclude condos, townhomes, anything else. I'm just doing just single family homes, right? And I'm going to choose Salt Lake City in this case. And you can see we have currently, oh, excuse me, in order to find our total inventory, and I put this equation on all of these sheets, you do active plus under contract plus backup. Cheyenne, the Park City MLS might not have a backup status, so it's just maybe active plus under contract, right? These two constitute pendings. That's considered available inventory as our active plus the pendings. And so our total available inventory is 585. So let's go ahead, and that's down, you can see, by almost 100. So our inventory is down total year over year. And now let's look in the last 30 days to find out how many of these things have sold. And the number is 164. So you can see our sales volume is down as well. So if I take 585, I've got to do this on my phone here, 585 divided by 164, we have a 3.57 month supply of homes that are on the market. So what kind of market is that overall? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Or is it a level market? What is it overall?
Seller.
Yeah, it's
Seller's market.
Yeah, it's right in that seller market range, right? Which I think would surprise a lot of people right now. Like, really? You're in a seller's market? Like, nobody thinks that we're in a seller's market. So this is really interesting tidbit of information. But what I want to also do is I don't want to just look at what's our current supply. And what that means is that the rate buyers are currently buying, if no other homes had come on the market, it would take 3.57 months for the market to absorb the inventory that's in Salt Lake. All right. But more homes are coming on the market, more homes are coming off. And that's something that I want to track because that shows me the direction of the market. So in the last 30 days, how many did we have become available? We had 154 become available. And how many moved into pending statuses in the last 30 days? 146. So we have roughly equal numbers here, you know, about the same amount of homes coming on the market as coming off the market. It's just a few more, right? 8 more homes out of 154. That's, you know, just a few percentages more coming on the market. It'll probably increase this 3.57 up slightly over the next 30 days. But now what we want to do is we want to break this down into price range. And so typically in price ranges, we're going to have everything above a certain amount. But then we'll also have everything below a certain amount. And then you're going to have everything in between these price ranges. All right. So typically what I like to do is I like to make sure that we have a pretty good representation in each price range. So for instance, if there were only 4 homes out of 585 available above 1.5, I'd probably lower this price down to 1 million. But let's see how many we have above that 1.5 mark. So I go back to my available, I get rid of the 30 days here, and I'm going to say everything above, oops, that's right here, everything above 1.5 million. We currently have 65 homes that are above 1.5 million. And in the last 30 days, how many of those have sold? It's 9. So 65 divided by 9 is a 7.22 month supply. So 9 sold last time, but this time we have a lot more. So you're sitting in a, what kind of market if you're above a 1.5? If you're a buyer shopping in 1.5, what can you expect?
Buyer's market.
Yeah, softer market, probably more flexible sellers. You know, if sellers are motivated, they're going to have to be pretty flexible because there's a lot of inventory. If I'm going to take a listing above 1.5 in Salt Lake City, I'm going to have the same type of conversations with my seller to show them that we're not in a buyer's market or in a seller's market in that price range in Salt Lake. We're in a buyer's market. Okay. So let's see, whoops. I want to go to what went under contract. There was 9, and what went active, there was 7. So that fairly level number. 7 became active, 9 went under contract. Immediately, I'm going to move to the next pricing category. So we're in a seller's market here. That's the tale of 2 markets already, right? That is a buyer's market This is a seller's market. Sorry if I get these terms mixed up. It's been a minute since I've done this class. So you can see here that the next price range will be from 1 million to 1.5, but I don't go to exactly 1.5. I just go $1 below. So I don't have any crossover effect, right? I know it's kind of nitpicky, but sometimes you're going to deal with a high C or a very analytical client, and they'll be like, well, all these numbers don't add up to this number up here. And that's because you crossed over. And so I don't do that. So in this case, we're going to go from 1 million to 1.49 million. I want to see everything that's available, right? Active plus under contract plus backup. Get rid of your days on market or your number of days back. And we have 55 right now. So I'll put that here, and then I want to see how many have sold in the last 30 days. And there are 9. 55 divided by 9 is a 6.1 month supply. So again, we're pretty much in a buyer's market in these higher price ranges. So anything above $1 million right now is demonstrating that we're in some sort of a buyer's market. Let's look at the direction of that market right now and see. We had how many come active? 14 in the last 30 days. And how many of those moved into pending status? 17. So slightly more moving into pending status than coming active. It'll bring that number down just a little bit, but you're still kind of in that seller's market or the buyer's market in this price range here. The next one down is the 750 to the 999. $106 in that category. Oops, right here. 106 in the last 30 days. Let's see how many sold. 26 homes sold in the last 30 days. And that is a 4.07. So basically a level market in this price range here. Let's look at the direction of this market. If I'm talking to a seller, I can advise them, can we price ahead of the market? How is the market doing, right? I mean, it used to be that you could price ahead of the market without having to think about it. Now you need to look at the direction of the market to see if you can price ahead of the market, right? Meaning pricing, thinking that prices will keep going up. So if I look at under contract and backup, there are, let's see, 24 of those versus active, you have 28. So you have more properties that are coming active in this price range than are moving into pending statuses. Move down to the next pricing category. So take a notice, like I go above 1.5 and then I have a $500,000 spread going from 1 million to 1.5. Then I go down to a $250,000 spread, but now I'm down to a couple of 150,000 spread and then 100,000 spread here and here before I look at that bottom category. And so again, I just want to have proper representation of a chunk of the market. I want to see this 585 get spread out pretty decently in these price ranges, and that's how I come up with them. The price ranges are subjective. If I'm out in Magna, I'm not going to start my above at 1.5. I might start my above at 750,000. However, on the other hand, if I'm Cheyenne up in Park City, I might start my above, at 3 million up there. And then I might go from 2 to 3. Then I might go from 1.5 to 2, and then 1 to 1.5, and then everything below 1. So each area that you're in is going to determine these price brackets, right? Now, I've done thousands of these, and that's the truth. And so I've just got a feel for it. If you guys are practicing this like once a week, man, can you imagine how much knowledge and education you're going to have when you're talking with people? If you just do one of these a week. Now, it takes me, if I'm not talking through doing this, it'll take me maybe 10 minutes to put one of these together, if that. My recommendation is that you just go here, make a copy, right? And then label it the way that you want to label it in your own drive. You can do it for Murray, you can do it for Park City, give it a date, and then try doing some of your own on here. All right, so let's go to this next price category, which is going to be, what was it, 600 to 749. Whoops. Sitting at 97 properties in this price range. And we had in the last 30 days, we had how many sell? 32. Let's do the math on this. 97 divided by 32, that's 3-month supply. So there's a 3-month supply. What kind of market are we in now?
Well, it's a seller's market, ain't it?
Yep, that's the seller's market, right? You only have a 3-month month supply in this price range, right? But let's look at the directionality. Before I put my foot in my mouth with the seller, I want to see, like, is that holding up here, or is that some sort of anomaly? So in the last 30 days, we had 20 move into a pending status. And then we had how many? We had 30 move into active. And so the truth of the matter is while this is a seller's market, you have 30% more properties being listed than are moving into pending status. That's going to drive this number, the number 3, that's going to drive that number up fairly quickly. So I would caution my seller to get greedy in this price range. If I'm doing a CMA in this price range and my price came in at 700,000, I'm going to tell them to list it at 700,000. But if we had a 3-month supply and you had 10 homes come listed and 20 moved into pending status, I might tell my client, let's go ahead and try it at the 725 price point and see how the market responds to what we're offering, because there's very little competition. It looks like the market's absorbing almost everything that it's putting up right now. But in this case, it's not. There are more, 30% more coming on the market than are moving off the market. So that's interesting for us to see. Let's take a look at the next price range, which is 500 to 599. Whoops. 599. Let's get all of our statuses active, under contract, backup. So we've got 94 of those. So in the last 30 days, how many of those bad boys sold? 23 of them sold. So let's do the math on this. 94 divided by 23 is 4.1, really, if we round up. I usually will go to 3 decimal points. So in this case, it just rounds up to 4.1. All right. And what's the direction telling us right now? We had how many come active? 23 came active. How many moved into pending status? 30. So we have more coming off the market than we have coming on the market, which tells us this number here is kind of going to drop down. It's going to move into a seller's market. Again, I'm going to be fairly cautious at that 3-month mark not to price ahead of the market. Everybody wants to sell their house for more than they can sell it for, right? Myself included. If I sold my house right now, I'd want 16.3 million for it, but it's probably not worth that. So that's just the reality, right? You just have to be aware of that, and you have to educate your people with data on what the market's doing. That's why I show the direction of the market here, to educate my clients, to help them make a good decision. So let's go into the next price category. It's 400 to 500,000 without any overlap. We have 114 available in that price range. Okay, that's down quite a bit from last year. In the last 30 days, we had how many of these guys sell? 43. So 114 divided by 43 is 2.65. Now we're moving well into a seller's market, right? Anybody working in Salt Lake City in this price range right here? Just curious. Yeah. How fast are these homes flying off the shelf right now?
Pretty.
Yeah, they're moving quick, man. Even in Glendale area, they're like moving mighty fast. And so even though it looks like there's a lot of inventory, the reality is, look how many of them are moving. That's the affordable housing in Salt Lake City, right? That's why you have less than a 3-month supply. And let's see what the direction of the market is. In terms of actives, 40 became active. How many had moved into pending status? 25. So that tells us a different story, right? Almost twice as many homes went active as moved into pending status. That's representative of 8% interest rates and affecting the market, is it not? Over the last 30 days, interest rates on average have been 8%. Now, if I do this price range here again in another 30 days, and our mortgages stay around 7.5 to 7.75%, you're probably going to see these two numbers switch around. You're going to see a lot more people out there putting properties under contract because of the affordability thing, right? But in this case, I'd be very it's very important for us to educate our client on, look how many became active versus went under contract. That tells us the market's really taking its foot off the gas pedal. I don't want to set false expectations on a $475,000 property, for instance, that I'm going to be able to sell it for more than $500,000. I don't want to do that because there's too much competition right now in that price range. Too many homes coming active versus moving into pending status. And then this is our foundation, everything below this point. So this one up here is called a capstone, everything above a certain amount. And then we finally get to below a certain amount. So all of your absorption rates should have one above, one below, and then your brackets in between. So let's take a look at what's happening in the lowest of price ranges in Salt Lake City single family homes. We have 114. Oh, wait a second. Something just happened here. Let's try this again. So notice that I didn't do anything here. So it's just up to this price. In the last, let's see, we've got 54. All right, 54 homes. And in the last 30 days, we had how many of these guys sell? 22. It's going to be in the twos, right? 54 divided by 22 is 2.45. Very similar to what it was a year ago, right? Hasn't really changed in that price range. And what about the direction of the market? 12 became active and 21 moved into pending status. Okay, now the interesting thing about this, let's just pick on, let's just look at this price range for a second. 600 to 750, right? You've got a 3-month supply even. In the last 30 days, 30 had gone on the market and 20 had moved off the market. Well, let's look at that same price range just over a year ago. We had 2.71 month supply, and you had more homes going into pending status than you had moving into active status, which was dropping this number down. So this particular market here was a lot stronger a year ago than it is today. Good to know. It's good to have that reflection. Now, imagine if you're providing these on your listings once a week. Once a week, you do this when you're servicing your listing. In addition to all of the other things that we've discussed in servicing listings, which we'll get back to. But starting tomorrow, we're going to be doing listing presentations. And guess what, Jamie? Guess what, Jamie?
I don't know what I'm first. I don't know.
No, I'm first. I'm first.
Okay, good. Thank God.
All right. Guess who's second? Guess who's second?
Me?
Yeah.
Dave. Me?
JD. JD is second. Yeah. All right.
Second to none is JD.
Amen, sister. Hey, if you want to go to Florida, you're going to need me to tell you you're second.
I know.
Not first. All right.
I know.
I'm going to fast track your ass to Florida right now. Get on out of here. Get to that Sunshine State. God dang it, girl. All right. So that's what's going to happen. And then we'll move forward from there. I want all of you guys actually doing these things. In the past, I've been the one that's always been doing it. And what I've learned is if I'm the one that's always doing it, you're not the one that's always doing it. You need to be doing the thing, right? Ryan, you want to be practicing it up your listing presentation. What'd you do today? Did you practice that?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. You're going to be ready for to be third in line?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a wonderful reprieve. I thought I was going tomorrow, so this is great.
All right, good. Good. And I know Jamie was, Jamie, did you sit in on the presentation practice today?
Well, no, I did not.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know there was a presentation practice. I didn't get the invite.
No,
everyone's invited.
It was on the huddle call this morning. I can't remember who else I said, hey, you should
I was probably getting some water, missed it. So.
And Cheyenne, you can go ahead and pick the Wednesday at noon that you want to come down to Salt Lake City and do it in person with me. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the benefit of watching a couple of these, but then you're going to see basically exactly what Lee Stern did with your brother, how that process goes. Okay.
Okay.
Right on. I'm super excited for it. So anyway, we'll get back to doing these absorption rates, right? I showed you in the folder. You can go back. You can listen to any of the trainings that we've done previously, right? They're all going to be in here. I'm going to put this one in here. Usually in here, you're always going to see, I have different rules, like rules for doing a single family home in West Valley City, rules for comping condos. These are for CMA specifically, right? Rules for doing a single family home in Mill Creek. We've got one for Midway in here, you know, like we've got them all, right? So just make sure, you know, if you guys are going to go out and do a CMA, you know, for a listing presentation, come to this folder and just look at the absorption rates, look at some of the rules that I've put into these documents, right? I mean, if we go into a document like this, you're going to see a lot of rules, you know, that I put in here for how we do a CMA, right? And then you're going to see below that the absorption report for that particular area at that time. So this is really good, valuable stuff for you guys to help you guys for your next listing appointment. So make sure that you use it as a resource. Today's recording, along with this absorption report, will be in the 2023 folder for your viewing pleasure. And if you guys weren't able to get on the Greg Harrelson training that was from 1 to 2 o'clock, I did record that, and I also uploaded the takeaways. Those, by the way, are in the team training drive. And so if you go into the team file sharing, there's one that's just called team training. This is where I keep market stats in the Become the Local Economist, right? But lead flow systems, that's really what Greg Harrelson was talking about. Here's that training from today. I just recorded it on the computer, put it in here, and then I took my notes and put it in here. By the way, how many of you guys were there? Wasn't that like, oh my God, I never really thought about it like that?
It was really good. I got a couple good takeaways myself.
Yeah, good. I did too. What was one of yours, Jamie?
At the end, you know, the speed to the buyer, and then also that the speed spooks the seller.
Yeah, that was a trip.
So I'm like, wait, and I thought, wow, okay. So that really gave me something to think about. I thought there's something else, but that really stood out.
These are all things that I've heard before. They're non-responsive, they're non-engaged, it's a dead lead, right? And I've shared my story of when Croger came to my office because all of his buyer's agents said his leads were shit. So I took the leads that they said were shit and I made calls in front of them on a speakerphone and set 2 or 3 appointments in less than an hour, right? So it's kind of that mindset sort of a thing. I loved him talking about that a little bit because he brought a different perspective to it, but also the 3 ratios you must track. This was new to me, right? Like this capture to contact ratio. I didn't even think about that. I loved his DDT. You know, we call, and then text, right? So you can see I'm not the only one that knows this shit works, right? Greg Harrelson is probably one of the top agents in the world in terms of his team. I don't know. Did he say how many transactions he did? Something 4,000 last year? Yeah, I'm serious, like 4,000 transactions. Myrtle Beach is not big enough to do 4,000 transactions in my mind, but he does it, right? So I got a lot of ahas out of there. I'm glad that some of you guys did, but that training is in here for you, all right? So if you didn't get a chance to see it, go and check it out. All right. And then I will see you guys tomorrow in office here in Salt Lake City doing the listing presentation. Of course, I'll be on the call tomorrow going over market stats. Be well. Thanks for investing your time in this education.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.